All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On Point Discussion tonight on this Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. Happy Tuesday to all of you, second day of the work week. Yours truly at Bears Fanatical 94 on Twitter. I am here with Meteorologist Cruz Medina. He is from WBAY up in Green Bay. You can follow him on Twitter at WX_Medina. I think I got that right? That's your Twitter handle.
WX_Cruz.
Oh,
you
WX
almost
underscore.
right.
Almost. I was close.
Yeah, almost.
Welcome to the show. How are you? Happy Tuesday. I know it's your day off. You're probably enjoying that. So, welcome to On Point Discussion. It's.
Thank you.
I've always wanted to have a meteorologist on, just because I'm a huge weather nerd too, and yeah. I just wanting to talk about weather and weather phenomenons and whatnot. So I'll let you introduce yourself. What you're doing. Which days of the week you're on up at WBAY. Kind of how you got into the meteorology field. So
right.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we can start the conversation from there.
Okay, I'm Cruz Medina. I'm from the Wilson, North Carolina area, so just to the east of Raleigh, the capital. I went to school at North Carolina State University, just graduated in December, and started at WBAY as a meteorologist. I do the weekday midday shows, that's Wednesday through Friday, both the noon and the 4. And then I guess my official title is the weekend morning meteorologist. So I also take on the Saturday and Sunday early morning shows, so the 6 and 8 a.m. As far as my background in meteorology, it was something I wanted to do since I was a kid. I pretty much knew since I was 5 that that's what I wanted to pursue. And I guess my passion stemmed from seeing storms roll through during the spring and summer months. And my grandfather, who was alive at the time, he lived in the countryside of Wilson County, where I grew up, and the trees around his house were like far in the distance. So we could see all the storms as they rolled in. And what we would do when it stormed outside, we would literally sit in front of the glass door and just watch lightning, sometimes for hours. And I don't know, it kind of captivated me. It was terrifying, but also at the same time, it was super fascinating to see I guess just how violent nature can be, but at the same time, it's like peaceful in a way too. And so yeah, I just carried that passion with me forward. I think something that solidified it for me, I was a little older when this happened, I think 13 years old. We had the largest tornado outbreak in North Carolina history happen. And one of the tornadoes was the EF2. It went through my hometown and tore up a very heavily populated area of the town. So that to me kind of just set it in stone. Even though I always had the passion for it, that was kind of like the turning point moment when I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to make a career out of. So yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here doing what I do and loving what I do.
Yeah, and I was reading up on kind of the history and whatnot of kind of how you had gone, you went to North Carolina State University. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yep. So yeah, that's something I did want to ask you about, is about that experience that you had, seeing such a devastating event happen right in your own backyard. I mean, how did that shape your view on, even just like weather phenomenons? I mean, were you able to, as bad as this is going to sound, right? Did that kind of help you kind of mold an even more solidified respect for the power of storms and the power of, Mother Nature and what it can do?
Absolutely. I mean, having that passion already for weather, like it was all I wanted to do. I was the type of kid to run outside when it stormed, which is what you should not do, by the way. But I guess seeing it hit close to home and do what it did. I mean, we had tornadoes all across the state. I could be wrong, but I think it was 34 confirmed tornadoes. One of them even went right through downtown Raleigh. So, I mean, just seeing the magnitude of these storms and the impact they had on, like people that I knew directly, that's kind of where things changed for me. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this was going to happen, regardless. That's up to God, who controls the weather. But or I should say me as a meteorologist, I have the, potential to give life-saving information, and to be able to do that and know that I'm giving a service to my community, and probably even people beyond. I mean, we have social media in the palm of our hands now. So the fact that I could potentially help save someone's life and make a difference in their life, the potential outcome, that's kind of what allowed me to continue chasing this dream. Because there's a lot of people, I would say, that probably go into TV thinking, they'll do it for the glamour, or they want like the spotlight. But for me, it really is the passion. I can do without all of that. I know it comes with the job, but I think for me, being able to give life-saving information is what keeps me here doing what I'm doing.
Yes, meteorologists, it's a profession that I have always, respected. That and storm chasers, those who are actually out, in the field, going out there and, basically risking their lives. I mean, I recall I believe it was the 2013, El Reno tornado in Oklahoma, where you had the storm chasers who unfortunately couldn't get out of that massive tornado. I mean, that thing was, if I recall, I think it was over 1.5 miles wide, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just, for them, it's such a dangerous thing to do. But again, sending those messages out to people so that they know what's coming to them, and saving lives ultimately. I mean, and that's obviously, I know, you being in the TV studio, you do that too, and that's just something that I feel like a lot of people just don't acknowledge. And I want to ask you, since we're on this topic, how do you feel about those people who get angry when they're like, their show is cut off in the middle of like severe weather coverage? I mean, I always see that here in Milwaukee with like the angry comments underneath all the threads, and how, they so and so TV station cut into my show in the middle of the night, or what? How do you respond to those like individuals who just like to hate on meteorologists who do that?
Yeah, I'm going to approach this from two different angles. First, I'll start out by understanding the viewer and their point. It's in human nature to be selfish, and I get it. If your show's on, especially if it's like a big game or something like that, nobody wants that cut in, especially if it's for a much less populated area. But what people don't understand is we are not only wanting to go on air for, to possibly save some lives, but also we're required to. Like, there's literally the FCC, which controls like media in general. We are required to go on air. It does not matter what county, if it's in your DMA, which is the market area you cover, you have to go on air. If it's a tornado warning, you're required to stay on air until it expires. If it's a severe thunderstorm warning, it's pretty much up to the station, their discretion. Our policy at BAY is if you have severe thunderstorms in the area, you try to cut in at the end of a commercial break right before it comes back, just to give the information, give the warning. Obviously, like I said, if it was a tornado warning, you have to go on air and stay on air. And I think there's different ways that this could be handled. First off, a lot of stations don't do this. This is something I'm an advocate for. Maybe like cutting in for a minute, especially if it is a tornado warning, with nothing else going on, just you giving the warning, showing, areas impacted. I think after that, you should be able to shift to something like what we're doing right now, a double box.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, the double box. Yeah. That's what a lot of people, advocate for.
Yeah. So I mean, there's going to be some trade-offs there, right? So maybe you won't be able to hear the game or whatever the show that you're watching is, but you can at least see it. And then at that point, you're, giving the viewer that option. They can either watch you or they can watch whatever they're doing. But the thing is, your sound is going to be on because you're required and you want to be on air, because honestly, and saving a life potentially is more important than any game, TV show. And it doesn't matter where, it could be, I'm going to say here, it could be not Green Bay that has the tornado warning. It could be some rural area that doesn't have a high population, but it doesn't make those people's lives that could potentially be impacted any less, so we want to give that information. And in some instances, yes, we are required, like a tornado warning. So I think also like with social media and like seeing the comments and stuff, a lot of times I personally haven't had to deal with this because I haven't done live severe weather coverage since I've been here. But I think trying to like diffuse the tension is a good way to, I guess, try to, I don't want to say downplay that, but kind of create some peace there, because people are going to say whatever they're going to say because they don't understand, like it's not impacting them, so they don't care. But like, I guess kind of telling people that, there's a way you can say that to someone without being rude, like, hey, even though you weren't impacted, so-and-so might have been, we had a report of a tornado. Just given the facts, and that's kind of all you can do. People will say whatever they're going to say regardless, but if you know that you did your job and that you potentially helped save someone's life, that's all that matters,
No, absolutely. And I think we need more of that. We need more of that politeness and kind of not, again, like you said, not downplaying, but kind of just having that dialogue there, being able to explain to people, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. Where obviously, it sucks that your 7 o'clock soap opera in the middle of the night is getting cut off, but there could be a tornado on the ground within maybe 20 minutes of you, 30 minutes of you, and that could be impacting a whole hundreds or thousands of people, and they are just as entitled to get that coverage as as you are, to should that ever happen in your neighborhood or in your neck of the woods.
Exactly.
So yeah, you haven't gotten to cover any severe weather events just yet up here, you said, right?
No, and it's I don't want to say unfortunate because severe weather is never fortunate, but it's not the best that I was off today because we actually do have severe weather in the area. I think it would have been good experience, but the thing is, there's already 2 meteorologists on staff. It wasn't necessary. Had it been like a day where we were going to have a bunch of tornado warnings, that's different. Right. But
yeah, I did see the severe thunderstorm watch that is up in the northern tier of the state. I did see that earlier this afternoon. So yeah, that does suck. But yeah, we don't get a lot of tornadoes here in Wisconsin to that extent that maybe other places such as Tornado Alley or Dixie Alley, that they get down there. But yes, definitely the thing that impacts us up here the most and what's most dangerous, right? And a lot of times is the cold weather that we get. The dangerously, the sub-zero temps and the wind chill and all that. But I want to ask you about I don't know how much you've studied it, but the tornado outbreak of April of 2011, April 27th, 2011. One of the big controversies or one of the big issues in that outbreak was how in a lot of rural communities, specifically down in Alabama, Mississippi in the southeast, Dixie Alley, one of the big things that was being discussed at the time was this the accessibility of individuals in rural communities having those severe weather alerts, and how there's such an outdated system of using just just using tornado sirens and a lot of those areas of, where there's just not that many people. How do we start, I guess, educating or informing people out in those rural areas that, maybe that it's not just a matter of relying on a tornado siren that goes off somewhere in the middle of a field, that there's other ways of getting severe weather alerts, severe weather radios. How do we start to change some of that so that we don't see so many of those deaths in a lot of these rural parts, not just in the Southeast, of course. Here in Wisconsin, we have plenty of, rural farmland and a lot of farmhouses and whatnot scattered around. How do we start to change some of that?
I would say the biggest thing that you could do is to communicate effectively. And now, I mean, you're mentioning most of these people live in rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you they're on this at some point throughout the day. And obviously, like, I'll say, like, me as a meteorologist, everything that I post is not going to reach every person in my DMA, my market.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I can't put out the information, especially if it's high impact. If it is a high impact situation like today, if we have severe thunderstorm watch, I might share, where the watch is, and I might ask my viewers, my followers, to share that, because I know that they have followers of their own. They have friends and family that they can reach that I might not be able to, because maybe those people don't follow my page. So getting it out there is probably the hardest part. There's a lot of people that don't even watch TV these days. I'd say the older populations are the ones who are most loyal, I guess, to TV viewing. A lot of other people get their information from social media. So everything's, right here these days. You really have to push that out. Like, that's your platform. That's what I use my social media for. I like to engage, but also, like, it's there primarily for times when there is severe weather. You have to give people information because you don't know if they're going to actually be watching the news. You can try and direct them to the news, but I would say the communication is the start. Second off, there's other things that you can do. I say you, but this could be anybody who's a meteorologist can, I guess, help out in this way, to educate people of the different ways to receive alerts. So if you're at a TV station pushing your app, if you have at least for our app, if you have your location set, there's any type of warning or a watch issued for your county, you get the push alert. But I guess going off of that, you have to have the push alert turned on. So that's educating people on how to do that. There's other things that you can do in the settings for iPhone. You can activate EAS alerts. So you can get all kinds of information, like not only just weather, which would be the primary focus here, but other things like Amber alerts, which obviously I think you get those regardless, but silver alerts and any kind of major alert you can get. So finding ways to educate people on these options that they have, that is the start. And that's honestly the most challenging thing. You have to be able to reach the people to even educate them on that. But in the process of educating, you have to communicate concisely. A lot of people don't care about advanced terminology, jargon, they just want you to give it to them straight. What is it that I need to know and why? That's it. How can I get these alerts? Why are they necessary? What is the difference between a watch and a warning? That's something that I really like to hammer on, because even though it's 2021, there's still so many people who do not know the difference. And every chance that I get, anytime that we have had severe weather or even the potential for it, I try to explain that in a way that people can understand. My favorite way to do that is talking about a cake. You can have all the ingredients for a cake. Until you throw it together, you don't get the cake. So the ingredients would be like a watch, like we have today.
Yep.
The cake itself would be the warning. once
Yes.
there's, either something spotted or you at least have like truth from the radar. You have to like constantly bring these things up because you can't assume that everyone gets this information and that everyone watches you every day, because that's not how it is.
Mm-hmm. I was actually about to say, seeing that we are on a live stream and there are people watching, if you want to go in and do a full explanation as to what is a watch and what is a warning, you have a platform, go for it. If you want to do that, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was kind of just hinting at that, but when there's a watch, know that the atmosphere is right, has all of the ingredients come in together. Juan, I know you as a meteorologist would probably, or aspiring meteorologist, someone who loves the weather,
yes,
would know the ingredients that you need to get these storms. You have to have the fuel. You have to have those higher dew points. You have to have wind shear to get storms rotating, or at least to get strong winds. These things all come together. But that's what us as meteorologists do. We forecast these ingredients. When we see them coming together, if we see that there's even the potential for the severe weather to happen, that's usually when a watch is issued ahead of time, so that people already know and they're conscious that at some point during the day, you could have a severe storm in your area, whether it's a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado. You don't know, but in your mind, you're already thinking, okay, I should, keep this in the front of my brain. I should be conscious of this. I should plan around this. That way, whatever I have to do today is second in nature to the weather that's coming. You try to prepare yourself and prepare the others as well for these events. That's what we issue a watch for. The warning usually means that there's some sort of ground truth to what's happening, or at least the radar is picking up on. If it's a severe thunderstorm warning, this could be hail above 1 inch. This could be, winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, or you could have rotation within a storm that could strengthen and eventually lead to a tornado. So the watch versus warning it's very different. Watches are, I'd say, pretty common, especially in the warmer months, when you just get that abundant daytime heating, and that helps to fuel the storms. You obviously have to get the moisture as well, but if the watch is issued, you should already be on alert mode. If the warning is issued, that's when you need to be in your safe place. If it's a severe thunderstorm warning, maybe you don't need to be in your basement or in a closet, but you should at least know the impacts and have a way to get the information you need, whether that's watching a live stream, whether you're looking on social media for your local meteorologist or the National Weather Service, their tweets or posts on Facebook about a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. You need to know also, are you even in the area that will be impacted? Because a lot of people don't even know what county they live in. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people just reference a nearby city or town that they're familiar with, but they don't know their neighboring county. So like they don't even know if a watch or warning is moving into their area. All of those things are all important. You have to know where you live. You have to know how to get a warning. If you have a watch, you have to know what that means, which means that the ingredients are present. You just need them to come together to actually get the warning.
Mm-hmm. I I took a trained storm spotter course back in 2019. So I'm technically one of those storm chasers or storm spotters for the National Weather Service. So this is kind of a good refresher course for me. It was a very, very fun, very fun session that I had back, a few years ago. But no, it always irks me when someone tells me that they don't know what county they live in.
And it's pretty common too.
Yes,
which is the scary thing. Yeah. I know at the beginning of the severe season, as a meteorologist, it's always beneficial to post a map that shows the different counties in your market.
Mm-hmm.
That way people can be refreshed and know, okay, I live in Brown County, and the county to my west is Allegheny County, and the county to my east is Kewaunee County.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing those types of things, that gives you the upper hand when there is a severe weather situation, and you feel more prepared also.
A lot of the town names and county names here in Wisconsin are very complex, as you probably have come to learn. Are you still trying to work your way through those and just kind of sounding them out and making sure that you're not mispronouncing a name or a city or a township up there? I know up there it's a lot.
Yeah, and truth be told, I've had my mess up. And trust me when I say that someone's going to let you know. I just had one over the weekend. We have a town called Berlin here. I pronounce it as Berlin because of how it's spelled. And not even, before I could get off the air, one of our viewers sent me a message and goes, "You're pronouncing Berlin wrong." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know, guy." But my chief, Balon, he did look out for me, and before it was once I accepted the job, but before I moved out here, I had a month. I was still taking my final exams and all that, but every chance I got, I was studying the names on a website called mispronouncer.com, and it has all the Wisconsin towns and county names and little villages and all kinds of things, and it was super helpful. But it's one of those things that I have to constantly do, especially when I'm not sure of the pronunciation.
Was that that was a shameless plug, by the way, for the that website, the pronunciation website.
Yeah, I mean, no shame in my game.
The AMS Latinx committee. You're an ambassador for that.
Correct.
What exactly what is your role in that that committee? What's the goal in that program?
For us, it is communicating effectively to the Spanish-speaking population. So for the longest time, the National Weather Service had a glossary of terms that they used for weather, but it was only in English. And then after some time, they did develop a Spanish list, but it wasn't consistent between the different Spanish-speaking populations. So you would be aware that there's things that Hispanic Latinos from the Caribbean say different than the people in Central America, than the people in South America, than the people in Spain. It's different, and you have to know the differences. So that was the step. I'll give a shout out to Joseph Trujillo, he's like our main guy. He was the founder of this committee, and he did a lot of research into it. Matter of fact, he's going on to get his PhD at OU now. But
that's awesome. That's awesome.
All of his master's work was on this communication. So he worked with professors that were in the Spanish department, professors that were in the communications department, and also meteorologists who were Hispanic Latino, both in the National Weather Service and through public sector. So TV meteorologists, that sort of thing. So basically, from talking to all these people, he found out, what does this person think this word means versus that person? And it was words like, we were just talking about watches and warnings, aviso versus advertencia, like people, and they were raised to know that those words have two different meanings, but which one is going to be communicated most effectively? And then even further from that, when you as the meteorologist are communicating this, are you always saying the same word and telling the people what that word means? You have to constantly do that. This is during any severe weather situation. You have to reiterate, because once you say it enough times, people start to, it gets stuck in their head. Okay,
right.
we have, a watch this time, not a warning. And it was those types of things that he focused on and kind of wanted us to go the extra step on. So he's focusing on the communication, which, by the way, we finally do have a glossary in Spanish for words through the American Meteorological Society. So that's now public knowledge, and it is the most consistent version based off the research that him and other meteorologists in the Latinx committee conducted. So that's a great resource, and it's great that we have that now, because now we know, hey, we need to all communicate this in the same way. And if we do and explain why we're communicating it that way, then people get used to it. People know what you're talking about when you do talk about it. And then you, as a meteorologist, constantly keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to leave their head because you've already instilled that into them. I think one of the biggest things that came out of that was using el tiempo
mm-hmm.
to talk about weather and clima to talk about climate, because there are so many Spanish-speaking territories that use clima as weather, but how do you make the distinction between climate and weather if you're using clima for both?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think because so obviously I'm in Milwaukee, as you probably
mm-hmm.
know, and I'm just trying to think of how like the Spanish radio stations here in Milwaukee will say it.
Mm-hmm.
And their go-to is, el pronóstico del clima, right? The weather, the climate forecast, if you want to be literal, and translate it over literally. But yes, I think that having that distinction is very, very important, because unfortunately in the Latino community, right, there's just not a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of time there isn't that knowledge isn't there about what all of these different terms mean. And I've seen that firsthand. Especially with a lot of my, even my own family members, they'll be like, oh yeah, I was watching the weather report and they said something about a storm coming, and it's like, you look at the storm and it's like, oh, it's a severe thunderstorm warning that is literally 20 minutes from what's coming, and they don't know it's going to be that bad. But I'm very happy that there is that there's an official glossary out there now, and that
mm-hmm.
is it simultaneous then? I mean, it's going to be like a straight across the board, that it's going to be used. I mean, that it's going to be a consistently used thing now, right?
That's the push.
Okay.
You can't make someone, use it, but it's there. And every one of our ambassadors, which there's over 50 of us,
mm-hmm.
has the capability to push that knowledge out. So maybe someone who's not part of our committee didn't know that was a public thing, but we shared it on all social media platforms, and it's obviously available through the AMS, their official website. So if you're a meteorologist, you should already, check AMS's website every once in a while. You would
mm-hmm.
probably come across it in some way, but also if you were just preparing yourself for, let's say, the next severe season, let's say it's hurricane season and you're a meteorologist in the Gulf Coast that is bilingual,
mm-hmm.
you might want to find certain terms just to know how they're consistently going to be delivered across mm-hmm. literally the United States by other meteorologists. That was the goal, to create consistency between us as a community, as the mm-hmm. weather community, scientists. You have to have consistency.
Absolutely. Yeah, if there isn't any consistency, then an entire project or an entire mission in this case, it's not feasible. And that's mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely there needs to be a certain level of cooperation amongst all the meteorologists across the nation in that regard. So want to switch gears a little bit here and start getting away from kind of the serious talk. Want to ask you about some of so obviously you made the move up to Wisconsin, up to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in North Carolina, correct? That
correct.
Was your okay. What has been your most favorite thing about Wisconsin thus far? And in the same regard, what has been your least favorite?
Okay, I'll start with the least.
All right.
It was the cold snap. When can't even remember what month that was. Maybe the end of January, beginning of February.
I think that was
I had
it.
I had never felt below zero temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the coldest temperature I ever felt in North Carolina was probably like 4 degrees, and I was little,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not something that I remember. And cold out there is different than how people out here would define cold.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So in North Carolina, like a cold day, like this is a day where meteorologists there are like, man, grab the thickest jacket you've got because it's going to be cold. That's when we have like consistent days in like the 30s. Every so many years, you'll get some days in the 20s or the teens. Single digits aren't common out there. It would take like a super big cold air outbreak, and it doesn't happen every year. This is like a once every 5 years event, maybe.
Right.
We get snow and stuff out there too, but not like here. The most snow I ever saw, and this was from one event, but it only occurred once in my lifetime. In North Carolina was a foot of snow.
Wow.
So I do have that, but like your every year snowfall is usually somewhere between 1 and 5 inches. Every once in a while, like I said, you can get a decent snow. Like my junior year at NC State, we did get 8 inches, but that was between 2 days of snow. So yeah, I have that going for me, but it didn't prepare me for the cold out here, and also the consistent snowing pattern. So it was fun forecasting that as a young meteorologist. All you want to do is grow, not only in your presentation and your image, but also the actual forecasting part, because that's what you do. And that's I can only speak for myself, but that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the forecasting part of it. I like the challenge. And being here, there's a lot of challenges. I mean, you have influence from Lake Michigan.
Right.
That can influence your temperatures. It can influence the snowfall. But back to the coldest temperatures. So one day when I walked into work, it was for a Sunday morning show. I think our low that we forecasted, it was somewhere around, it was either -2 or 0. That was some spot in the far north, like what we call the North Woods, that went well below 0 for the actual temperature, but the wind chill was somewhere around -45.
Yep.
And as much as people hate masks, thank God for masks at that time, because I put my mask on before I even got out of my truck. And I had a suit on. I didn't have like a coat over it because that's kind of uncomfortable when you have a suit blazer.
Yep.
But I parked as close as I could to the door and sprinted. So I didn't feel it for long, but you can imagine the jokes, in the newsroom, me telling people these stories, and they're like, "Oh, like you Southern boy, poor thing." And then I guess getting off of that and going into my favorite thing, and this has only been a recent thing because we're finally getting into the warmer temperatures. But I've made a few trips up to Door County.
Yes.
And if you live in Wisconsin, if you live in Illinois, anywhere close to here, you probably know that that's like one of the Midwest gems. What if people say it's the Cape Cod of the Midwest?
I believe so. Yes. Have you?
Well,
sorry, just real quickly. Have you haven't made it out to Washington Island yet? Have you?
I have not.
Okay.
That's on my radar for the summer. I wanted it to be a little warmer. To fully take advantage of that. But I'll tell you, just last Tuesday, I was in Egg Harbor, and man, it was fantastic. The water was way too cold. Like I couldn't even put my feet in it yet without it kind of like stinging my feet. But just the views, the white sand, clear water, it was refreshing. And then afterward, I got to go eat in like the little downtown area. I think we actually went to Fish Creek to eat. But it was fun. And I mean, I had a good time just seeing everything. It kind of reminds me of back home. I think that's why I like it so much. It's almost like I brought a slice of North Carolina back with me. And it's weird because when you're driving up there on Highway 57, it kind of looks like you're in the mountains at some point. There's like elevation changes, and being in the Midwest, you kind of expect everything to be mostly flat.
Yep.
But I can see the changes in elevation, and then there's certain parts like you're going around like a sharp curve on the highway, and there's like exposed like rock. You know, it really does remind me of the North Carolina mountains, and then the fact that the water is clear, that reminds me even more of North Carolina. So I think that's probably what's got me so hooked on Door County. But trust me when I say I'll definitely be making more trips back there throughout the summertime.
Yes, Door County it's like a hidden wonder here in Wisconsin. It's such a beautiful area. I was up there back in 2019, actually. I believe it was 2019. And it is just phenomenal. I mean, there's so many things to do, you know, with a lot of like the Door County wine tastings and, you know, again, Washington Island and going out there, taking the ferry out there. But you know, if you're watching on the live stream, guys, you know, feel free to drop in the comment thread if you got any suggestions for many places to check out. I mean, so two of my best friends actually, they live up in Green Bay, and they're the ones who take me out to explore all these different you know, places up there. And so shout out to them for they were the ones who introduced me to you know, to Door County. But another question I have for you, have you been converted to a Green Bay Packer fan yet?
No, but
good. You can stay on the show then. Good.
I do like being immersed in the culture. I didn't get to do a lot moving here. First of all, towards the end of the football season, they were already during the playoffs. But just seeing how diehard people are here and how people live and breathe Green Bay Packers, like that is the culture here. And you kind of have to get on board with it in some, you know, aspect if you want to truly enjoy your time here. And I'll say that as someone who, you know, might not be here for forever, but in the time I am here, I do plan on fully immersing myself into the culture. I live maybe 2 blocks down from Lambeau. So
oh wow, so you're
being able to see Lambeau outside of my apartment every door, that's cool, you know. And then just knowing the proximity and that things are now slowly getting back to normal, that I'm gonna have the opportunity to go to a game this year. So I'm really excited about that. Not being a fan, but I'll embrace it and, you know, just kind of go with the flow. I'm not a diehard NFL person anyway. I'll just say I'm a fan of the Saints, but only because of Drew Brees. So having the ability to go to a football game, a pro football game at that in my backyard is pretty cool.
That it is a very it's very, very culturally potent here in Wisconsin. You know, you know, I'm a Chicago Bears fan, as you know, the posters behind me probably say. You know, I root for Chicago. Living in Milwaukee, it can sometimes be a little brutal. It's not as bad as obviously if I was up in Green Bay, but what I will say about, you know, Green Bay and their fans is that they are, you know, they truly do embody the characteristic of a true NFL you know, football fan base. And so that culture is everywhere, not only in Green Bay, but, you know, all across the state of Wisconsin. So that's really cool that you're really close.
Yeah, I also really enjoy the history. When I got here, I actually had some friends, Allie and Malcolm, who are both meteorologists that graduated with me from NC State, Go Pack. they flew in and visited. We toured Lambeau. We went into the Hall of Fame, and we actually got to tour the stadium. It was snow covered at the time, but just seeing the history, not being from this area and not really knowing much about how far back like the Green Bay Packers history goes, it was just really cool to see what it was founded on and how the small little town of Green Bay ended up having a pro football team. It's so cool to me.
One of the smaller markets, up in Green Bay with a Packer, the Green Bay Packers and whatnot, and yeah, they, their fan base is everywhere, so yeah, it's a beautiful sport, football. I mean, again, I don't like the Packers by any means. They're my arch rival, but still I gotta, I can respect their fan base and whatnot. But you said you're not really an NFL fan. What is there a particular sport that you're more into, that you kind of lean more into? Or
I like football. I just kind of stick to college football, and that comes from going to a big football school. NC State, Carter Finley, those nothing like it. Tailgates and just hearing the roaring crowd on game days. It was truly a privilege to have gone there. My undergrad, I'd say some of the biggest highlights were NC State games. Right. And if I piss somebody off by saying this, I'll gladly do so. But it's the best football school in the Triangle, which in North Carolina, that's like the three big schools fall within the research triangle. So it's NC State, Duke, and Carolina. We were the football school, maybe not the basketball school. That's okay. That's Duke and Carolina take that all day. But the experience was like no other. Seeing Carter Finley, which seats like I think 50-something thousand people, sell out pretty regularly. It was just crazy to be in that atmosphere and hearing literally the crowd go wild for any little thing, even if it was just singing like our fight song or, it's those little things that kept me a loyal college football fan.
Mm-hmm. I can just see you in the stands, just singing your fight song, like "Let's go."
Yeah.
Nothing beats college. Oh, go ahead. No,
I said I would sing it for the people, but I can't bless y'all with the voice. So,
all right, Mr. Conceited over here on the. No, what I was gonna say was college football and college sports. Sometimes, I think to myself, I'm like, I think that NCAA collegiate level sports are so much better than like professional sports. I mean, I know it has its moments, definitely, but I know obviously, like I'm actually a diehard Wisconsin Badgers fan here in.
Okay.
So I've been to a few of their, when we got to the Final Four and, the football out there and whatnot for the tailgate. And it's such an amazing time to be out there with your fellow, college fans and whatnot. But, yeah, it's my own bias, on Wisconsin and go Badgers. And
yeah,
obviously I'll say the same thing. I think we're the best athletic school, but that's just my own bias.
Yeah, I think what makes college sports fun is to know that these kids aren't getting paid, but they're still like playing their heart out, and they play, in my opinion, harder than pro sports. You literally see like the drive and the determination. They're so determined to get to the championship or whatever goal they're trying to meet. They're always grinding. They always want to be the best and be one up from whoever their opponent is. And the grit that I see like in those athletes, that's kind of what sells it for me.
That's an interesting take, because I'll be very honest with you. I have never, I've never thought about that in that way, that, they aren't getting any monetary compensation for, obviously, for bringing in revenue for the school. I mean, that's what it comes down to, seeing that, they're not getting paid, but they're getting that opportunity to play under the big lights, at the collegiate level. I would be willing to agree with that, to be honest with you. I think that at the end of the day, they do put so much, heart and dedication into the sport that, whatever it may be, football, or I would even say, basketball and hockey, and all of that. But any plans to make it down to a Milwaukee Brewers game in the coming months?
Yeah, I would love to. I'll tell you, I'm not the biggest NBA fan either. For me, I like college basketball, but football is definitely more up my alley as far as what I enjoy watching. But I do want to go to a Brewers game. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina for 2 years and got to make it out to some of the Hornets games. And it's cool. Like it's another one of those culture things. Like you just see, it's a whole different set of fans, and people come with a different kind of excitement for each different sport. So seeing that in itself is fun, but also just being in an arena with other people who are making noise and having a good time. That's what I love to see. So any pro sports game I get to go to, I definitely plan on, making it out, whether it's a Brewers game, a Bucks game, which Charlotte or North Carolina in general doesn't have baseball. So I'll definitely.
You guys have the Charlotte. You guys got the Charlotte Knights though.
Yeah, they
they're
it's not
they're
like
the affiliate.
NBA,
right?
Or not NBA, MLB.
Yeah.
But it does the trick, and people out there even appreciate that. But like I said, whether it's a Brewers, a Bucks game, I'll be going to Chicago sometimes if it's a White Sox. I don't care if it's pro sports, like I'll go.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I definitely want to get to a Brewers game pretty soon. Baseball in general is just up my alley.
It's the Charlotte Knights down there. They are the AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox, and it just happens to be that I'm a White Sox fan, diehard White Sox fan. So I like to watch and just kind of see what's happening. Obviously, I'm not always glued to my TV with the Charlotte Knights, but every once in a while, I like to just kind of, just creep on their Twitter page and see what they're doing down there with the prospects and whatnot. So, but with regards to the Brewers, though, open invitation to our tailgate if you ever want to make it down here. You're more than welcome to come to the carne asada, as they say in Spanish.
Yeah, I mean,
so
good food, baseball.
Yep.
Sign me up.
Exactly.
I haven't made it down to Milwaukee actually. When I moved here, my parents and my little brothers came with me. I actually did stay the night in Milwaukee. That was about the extent of that. It snowed that night, some 7 inches there in Milwaukee. That's why we stayed. So there was that, but I haven't gone to Milwaukee to actually go and explore the city and stuff. So I'm excited to do that. I live here now, and I want to see every part of the state while I'm here. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Yep, it's a beautiful state, and Milwaukee. There's it's like an hour and 25 minutes, I believe, from Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. So not too far of a drive.
At all.
Yeah, not too far of a drive, but yeah, it's it's a fun city, and we'd be more than happy to show you around if you ever came down here to the Brew City. So
yeah,
open invitation.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll take you up sometime.
Absolutely. Well, we can start wrapping it up here. It's almost 7:30, but remember to follow Cruz Medina at WX_Cruz.
Yeah,
got it right. Got it right. Follow the podcast at Talks on Point. Follow the network at Lounge Room Net, both on Twitter. For those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, and on Twitter, thank you very much. I do see some of the comments that you guys dropped in the comment section. Thank you for that. Remember to follow me at Bears Fanatic 194 on Twitter. Cruz, it was an honor, sir. I sincerely appreciate it. Very informative discussion, and I hope that you come down to Milwaukee sometime, and we'll show you around the city and show you what's all down here.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Juan, for having me. It's been fun talking about. I feel like we literally talked about everything, so
Everything,
that was cool.
yes.
But yeah, I'll definitely slide down to Milwaukee sometime. I'll let you know when I'm going to be down there. We'll grab a beer or something.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow night for another live episode. And until then, have a good night, and we will catch you all very soon.